Hello everyone, this is GameBros64 and I'm bringing you guys back another life setup video. This is going to be level 130 healing setup. This setup is insane. It's a little bit different than my normal videos and I apologize about that. Normally I would show you my wizard and then everything on my wizard. Instead, with the new 130 and how it works with the Catacombs Armors, you gotta farm out a crap ton of reagents just to craft the darn thing. So I'm going to go ahead and skip all that part and just show you each piece of armor so that you can pause the video, screenshot it if you're watching on your phone, or just print screen on your computer, then zoom in on each of the pieces if need be, and then I'll also show you the overall stats towards the bottom with the calculated pieces. Now, most of these pieces on this screen here have jewel sockets already in them. That's because I currently own those pieces of armor. And then the pieces without jewel sockets in them, I don't own those pieces of armor, but that's what we're going towards. I'm going to tell you how you can fully maximize the setup by including all the right jewels towards the end of the video. But for now, this is pretty much the base stats with everything you see on the screen if you calculate everything by using a calculator. So we're going to jump straight in. We have the helmet, we have the robe, we have the boots, we have the wand, we have the dagger, we have the amulet, we have the ring, we have a pet, we have a mount, and we have the deck. So we have all the pieces here for wizard that can wear. The hat is the dragoon piece. You find this in the catacombs. It costs 50,000 for the recipe for the dragoon, then another 50,000 for the vanguard. You must need the vanguard, then you need X amount of extract, salts, and crystals to craft, plus the vanguard just to get the dragoon. Vanguard is tier 2, dragoon is tier 1. For this setup and this build, we're going to be focusing only on tier 1 pieces. Vanguard, you will get a little bit less, like crit, damage, etc. A little bit less stats because it's tier 2 versus tier 1. So for this purpose of the video, I'm just showing you the dragoon pieces of armor and how to work them in and incorporate them with your current setup if you're already running a current setup. So we're going to run the dragoon helmet. It's going to give us a lot of critical, which is very nice. It's also going to give us pips and accuracy, which is really, really helpful as a life wizard because you want to make sure you have max stats overall. We're also going to be running the Malister robe, big whoop-de-doo, level 100. Not going to change that. It gives you way too much life accuracy, and the reason for that is if you ever looks at Pigsy's spell, you can craft that or you can open up packs to get it. I forgot the pack you get, but the Pigsy spell is your primary heal because it's 4 pips and it doesn't cost much to use it, and it heals for a lot. It has 85 base accuracy on the card itself, so you need 15 accuracy on your gear. The robe, the Malister robe alone, gives you 11 life accuracy, so you're only missing 4 accuracy on life, but your hat already gives you that missing 4. That's why you have 16 down below. Alright, this is your total life accuracy here once you have all these pieces on you. Now, this is 16 accuracy without using the triangle jewel from your dagger or without using the triangle jewel from your deck. So this is very helpful in the sense that you already have 100% for Pigsy, and that's your primary source of healing when you're healing on a life wizard. Now, you can also use Rebirth, but Rebirth has a 90% chance of cast rate on the spell, so you only need 10% on the gear. So you actually have a 6% advantage of, you pretty much have 106 power or 106 accuracy. I can't speak. So anywho, accuracy and power pip chance is why we run the Malister robe, plus that bonus resist is helpful, and then it just gives you a really good size amount of crit. Shadow pip chance is low on it, so I mean if you want to run a higher robe that gives you more shadow pip chance, you can. But overall, you're already sitting at 9%, which is pretty much the base because most people upgrade the hats and the boots, and then they just run like the Malister robe that gives 2%. So really, the 9% is usually your base, and then if you include like triangle jewels for 3% extra on shadow pips, you can go higher than 9%. But 9% is going to be the new base or the new standard now for shadow pip. Boots. For the boots, you get an insane amount of damage, even though we really don't need damage. Overall, we have 99 damage for a healing wizard. That's pretty insane. We pretty much have 30 damage there. We have 126 life critical, which is nuts. We get the exact same resist that we get on our robe, but we also get it on our boots. So that's very, very generous there. We don't get any accuracy, but that's fine because we have our accuracy already covered off of our hat and our boots, or our hat and our robe. So then we just get more bonus health, and we get a crap ton of armor, that power pip chance. Then you get a sharpened blade and potent trap if you want to go the support role as a life wizard. And the new thing is they're starting to add outgoing back on the critical boots for life. This is huge because as a critical life wizard, you want critical. And then once your critical's already max, which overall is going to be 843, and just aside tip, to get max crit, you need 837. 837 gives you exactly 100%. So anything over 837 is still 100%, so keep it. You know, anything over is better because the new world, they may drop some of the crit points or raise the crit bar up. So anything over is better so that you, once you go to 140, you have a few crit points along the way that you don't have to go as much higher to get to the next cap. But essentially for a life critting wizard, you want to hit max crit, and then you want to focus as much potential into your outgoing as much as possible. So the fact that these boots are giving you an extra 6% is really, really good on top of keeping your max critical already. So that's very nice. The wand is going to stay the same. It's the guitar wand from those packs in the Crown store. It gives you 7 incoming, which is really strong, so you get more healing, and you get a crap ton of critical. You get 181 critical. The dagger you want is the Darkmoor dagger from the first fight, the ghoul in the graveyard. This one's really strong. You can get a better dagger if you go for the Morganth. The Morganth one gives you 20 outgoing but no incoming. That's a little bit better in the sense that it does more for your team. It doesn't necessarily do more for you. So you could run that one as a good substitute. I think you still keep 2 circles and a triangle in it as well. I prefer this one because I like the incoming on myself a little bit. I still like to give myself fairly big heals as well as giving really good heals and keeping my team alive with the outgoing advantage. But if you want an extra 8 extra outgoing, then you can swap this current dagger right here, the Darkmoor dagger, to the Morganth dagger and go up to 20 extra outgoing from the dagger alone, and then put 2/5 outgoing jewels in it to get 30 on the dagger alone. And then thus your overall outgoing will go up an additional 8 extra points. So there's just like a cool switcheroo that you could do for extra outgoing. And then of course you can already see, I'm jumping ahead, but you can see that there's no circle socket already into this ring here. You can put an extra 5% into there and go even higher. So you can actually get up to around 78% outgoing for your healing wizard, which is really, really nuts on top of having max critical. So you're getting really close to that Jade resist, or not Jade resist, Jade outgoing with max critical. That's pretty ridiculous. The dagger is pretty much done in the sense that you get really high power pip chance and really high damage, but the incoming and the outgoing is why I like to run the dagger the most. Plus, if you put a 10% triangle socket power pip jewel inside the triangle, then you can have 26 power pip chance off the dagger alone, which is really, really strong. Or you can swap it out for accuracy, whichever you prefer. Now, for power pip chance, since I have the 9% in here and I am not showing you anything in this triangle socket, I'm unfortunately at 99. But what you could do is you could just upgrade this 9 power pip chance jewel up to a 10% power pip chance, and then you have 100% power pip chance. And then this triangle socket, you can throw it into accuracy so you can get higher accuracy, like if you need it. Or you can go with more power pip chance and just go to 110% power pip chance. Whatever, you have a triangle socket jewel available at your disposal. You don't really need it in accuracy, you don't really need it in power pip chance, because you can just upgrade this one more point to the 10% power pip jewel and get your max pips that way. So I would probably put this into accuracy, and I think the highest accuracy jewel you can get is 12%. So this would actually go up to, your accuracy would go up another 12%. So you would gain 28 accuracy to life with max pips. So that's really strong in case like people start putting mantles on you as a life wizard. You don't want to really dispel so much. You want to get your heals to go through, so more life accuracy, I guess. Your necklace is going to be the Shane Von Shane necklace from Darkmoor Part 2. It's the Halls one, the one where Shane Von Shane is death, not storm. And you kill him. There is no chest, unfortunately, unless they updated that. But this gives you the most critical for a necklace in the entire game, plus it gives you 2 square sockets. Now these square sockets are important because they recently came out with plus 6% incoming health jewels. They may have even come out with plus 7 or 8 health jewels by now, so there's a free extra percentage if you get those health jewels. But I like to put 6% in there because that's all I know of or I'm aware of that's currently out. That's why I have currently 1 in there. But pretty much put any kind of health jewel you can have in there. If you have 2 6 in there, you can gain 1 more here from this 6 here, and then you just gain 1 more here. So your incoming will go to 31. And then you also have a square socket on your ring, so it can go up another 6%. So that you'll be at 37 incoming overall if you have a 6% in this square, a 6% instead of the 5% here. You can go up to 37 incoming, and then if there's like a 7 or an 8 square incoming jewel in the game currently, put those in there and just upgrade your incoming based on what those jewels change to. So that's really huge there. Also, you can't really see it, but there's a spell right here, and it's that life aura that goes around you that gives you 25% extra outgoing when you heal. So that's really strong too, that this amulet not only gives you a huge amount of incoming plus the highest crit, but it also gives you a life bubble that gives you 25% more bonus to healing for 4 rounds. So, and it gives you a shadow shield, which is really important sometimes due to some of the Catacombs fights. They seem to really punish you with shadow damage, so the shadow shield does kind of help. The ring. The ring is the Dragoon ring. In case you weren't running, this is the Dragoon boots, these are the Dragoon hat, and this is the Dragoon ring. The ring you're going to upgrade to Dragoon. It gives you an insane amount of outgoing plus an insane amount of critical, which is just really strong for a healing life wizard. And the fact that if you weren't necessarily going for outgoing and you were just going for the highest damage, highest critical, this ring I think definitely takes the bill. And then on top of that, you get 23 outgoing. So if you weren't necessarily using this ring as your healing setup for a life wizard, but as your damage setup for your life wizard, you still get a huge amount of outgoing in case you ever did have to throw some kind of heal on you as a critical life wizard damage player or whatever. You get a circle and a square, which you can obviously put in there whatever you want. If you look down below, you'll see you have 0 stun resist. Now, you could take 5% and throw it in this square socket, just so that you can, if you ever throw TC Conviction, Treasure Card Conviction, 95 on the Treasure Card Conviction plus 5% on your gear gives you 100% total. Thus, you'll never get stunned through Conviction. So you could do that route, or I'm going to go the selfish route and simply just throw in more incoming into those square sockets. Just because, as a life wizard, my job is to only heal. So in between rounds when I'm not healing, I'm throwing Empowerment or Adept to collect more pips based on whatever the enemy hits on me or whatever I throw on myself. I want pips for it. And then I'm also throwing stun blocks on myself. I might be throwing maybe a few blades here and there, but not too often, because for KI, they seem to just, if I put a bunch of blades in my deck and a bunch of heals, I tend to draw my blades more than my heals, and I usually draw my blades right when I need the heal the most and I don't pull a heal. So I tend to just run a lot of heals mainly in my deck, and that's it. So stun resist jewel in here would be a good option for a life wizard, just so you had the 100% when you use the TC Conviction. But I don't use Conviction too often. I usually use Empowerment, and then I'll just put stun block up on me. So I really don't think you need 5% stun resist in this square socket, and instead I would substitute the square socket for more incoming, or I would choose more incoming in this square socket instead. So your stun resist would be at 0, but I mean, you can decide for yourself. You can put stun resist into these jewels and in this square if you wanted to, or just put a crap ton of incoming just to see bigger numbers on yourself. But 23 outgoing and high damage plus high critical, that's the reason why we're running this. Not so much the damage, but I mean having almost 100% damage is pretty nice, because if you have 9 shadow pip chance, as a healer, you don't really use, I mean, if you use the swans, that's a good source of putting out damage and healing your team. But if you don't use that, a Hungry Caterpillar, the Darkmoor life spell, that is really strong because you have max crit plus almost 100 damage. So just a good poking mechanism, just if you wanted to like kill off a minion real quick. With a critical Caterpillar, I think you could do probably around 67,000 damage just with no blades, just an enchant, caterpillar, crit, and the 99 damage, you can do a crap ton of life damage. Just a good poke, essentially, just to bring the boss down a few points or kill off a minion, etc., while your team is setting up to kill the big boss or whatever. So very nice that it gives you damage in that sense. The pet, obviously, is the golden pet. This thing, you want this either on a Copper Colossus or you want it on a Leaf Foot, ultimately, because the Leaf Foot or the Copper Colossus gives you healing blades. The reason why you pretty much can have this on any pet you want. You can have it on a pet that gives you blades, so you can support your team. You can get these stats on a pet that gives you healing charms, so you can heal better. Whatever you really want. The pet doesn't really matter all too much. It's the stats that matters. You need at least 4 criticals. Now, if you don't run outgoing on your circles, on your circle jewels or anything like that, you can swap to critical. You're going to lose this beautiful 65 outgoing. That's actually going to kind of plummet down to about 55 if you lose the 10% here off the jewels. But you can put critical in these jewels, and then thus you don't have to run 4 criticals on your life pet. So that's very, very useful for those people who just can't get 4 life crits on their pet. They can drop a few crits off and maybe get more resist so that they can have a little bit more tanky on their life. Personally, I like to fully optimize it to where I get all crit and all outgoing on my pet, and then I can use those circle jewels instead of critical when I know I can get them on my pet. I like to go for the extra outgoing. But you can do however you want. If you don't get the jewels, go for critical jewels instead of outgoing jewels. This is a healing life setup, not a damage life setup, so you don't need armor piercing. Armor piercing for us is only 7%, so it's very, very low. But critical and outgoing extra on your pet. The mount, outgoing. You get the mini mammoth in the crown store for 10,000 crowns, or you can go to one of the fights before Rasputin in Polaris, and you can farm one of the dungeons there. I think it's like right before you go to Rasputin, the dungeon right before it, the Sky Anchor Peaks or something like that. The boss has a chance to drop the mammoth mount. This is the best healing mammoth mount unless you want power pip chance or accuracy, whichever you prefer. But since we're already sitting at max pips, max accuracy pretty much, minus if that was a 10%, that would be a 100% there. That's why I put 99 there, because I still have this socketed in. But you have max pips, max accuracy, so you really don't need pips and accuracy on your mount, so thus you can go for the mini mammoth for 2 extra outgoing, extra heals, and then the Paradox deck to end it off so that you can get the highest crit possible with an extra pip, triangle socket. And what you could also do, by the way, is if you don't want to get the Paradox deck because you don't want to farm Storm Titan, you can just stick with the Rasputin deck. You'll lose a little bit of critical off of it, like 10 or 15 crit points, but that's perfectly fine. I think actually like 10 points or something like that. And that's perfectly fine because, like I said earlier, you can swap these outgoing jewels for critical jewels. So instead of losing critical on your pet, you can keep the quad crit pet here and then change some of these outgoing jewels to critical to make up for the crit you're going to lose when you swap from Paradox to the Rasputin deck. Or you can get the Paradox deck if you're lucky enough to get it, drop the crit off your pet, and put more outgoing, or put the crit jewels in the crit jewels in, and then drop critical off your pet. However you want to work it, essentially, is you have some leeway room of how you want to mess around with your jewels, essentially, and do you want crit or do you want outgoing on your jewels, and then decide from there. You have an extra triangle socket for either power pip chance or accuracy, whichever one you prefer. I will probably go into accuracy just so I don't fizzle as much. I already have max percent, but in case like mobs tend to throw debuffs on you, it's good to have extra accuracy so you can power it, I assume. But this is the overall setup, guys. Incoming's 30%, outgoing 65, pip conversions base, shadow pips 9%, stun resist 0 unless you put 5% stun in there. Like I said, 99 damage, 32 res universal, 16 accuracy, 100% critical, 1% block, and 7 armor piercing. This is my healing life wizard for 130. Unfortunately, I don't have all these pieces of gear, but this is exactly what I would run here from calculating everything out. And then through this whole entire time frame of me explaining this all to you, if you haven't already grabbed the calculator and actually proven me, you can actually add up all these stats off of each of these pieces of gear and do that by hand yourself and see that I'm probably not lying. There could be maybe a rounding. Maybe I added a couple extra points somewhere. Who knows? You know, human error. But overall, this is pretty nice stats for a level 130 healing wizard. And then if you wanted to also damage, do a little bit of damage, you have such high damage that you can also do that while you're also healing. So very, very nice overall. Very, very good overall, I would say. These are some pretty insane stats for a healing life wizard, considering that we have max crit with this much outgoing. You're going to throw Rebirth and go critical on it without a Sanctuary and guarantee doing over 4,000 heal to everyone, because you have 60 outgoing, which is essentially like carrying Sanctuary every single time you throw a heal. 60 outgoing is your Sanctuary, plus 100 critical, which is already doubling it. And then you also have their bonus incoming in case your allies also have incoming. That also factors into all of it. So chances are your Rebirths are going to be doing 4, maybe almost even 5k outgoing. And then if you throw heal charms up due to your pet or off your spells, if you throw up the cycle of life here off the amulet for extra 25%, if you go into Seraph mode, if you throw up Sanctuary, whatever you throw up, it's going to get obviously bigger than that, and that's only on a 7-pip spell Rebirth. Or if you throw Pigsy, 4-pip spell Rebirth, or pretty much a 4-pip spell Rebirth, I say. Does like 600 base on Pigsy, and or no, it does 400 base, and then you enchant it to get up to like 600, whatever. But 4 pips, probably doing 4 or 5k every single time you throw this without Sanctuary up. That's just really ridiculous. So lots of heals going into the critical life setup for 130. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know down in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of these types of videos. I'm more than happy to do these types of videos because, first, I don't have to get up to max level. Second, I don't have to spend hours at end farming for these reagents, which eventually I will in the long run. But for now, it's just easier for me to just show you all the pieces of gear, show you the stats to go for, and then calculate the overall total stats that you guys should get when you acquire each of these pieces and you set them up the way I have them set up here. And that's pretty much going to do it, guys. Ways to improve it is obviously put the right jewels in, and then based on whatever jewels you if you put crit jewels in or something like that, you can take crit off your pet, or you can swap your deck around. You can swap your dagger around to the Morganth dagger, get more outgoing. You just got to adjust accordingly to losing pips and accuracy, and that's what I usually do when I calculate on the calculator. I try to estimate and calculate all the gear that I get essentially and the stats that I will get before I actually grind for that piece of gear, because you don't want to waste all these hours, get this gear, and then realize you didn't really have max pips or whatever. So, you know, it would be kind of a bummer, but it's just something to think about when you do it. But anywho, guys, this is the overall video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, I will see you guys in another video then. So have a good one.